you started out your career in journalism. When and how did you know you wanted to pursue a career in journalism?
I think really what it really comes down to is two things. When I was a boy for Christmas, and I was probably in junior high school, and I'm sitting actually in my bedroom as a kid, the bedroom I had as a child, and my parents gave me a small miniature reel-to-reel tape recorder for Christmas.
Cool.
And for some reason, back here on this door that has the Red Wing jersey and various shirts that I wear, the door was closed, and I had a bunch of pennants from different NFL teams. There was a string of them. And under each pennant, I had written the starting quarterback, like Baltimore Colts, Johnny Unitas, Green Bay Packers, was Bart Starr, Roger Staubach or whomever was the quarterback of Dallas. And so I was always kind of into it, and I created a character called Don Dagushki, whom I'm not sure why I came up with that name. And I would interview my friends who were Bart Starr or Greg Landry or whomever, who were basically football players, because I grew up on a street where Sam Williams, one of the original Fearsome Foursome, and I knew his son, I still know his son Skip very, very well, who's like Sam as well, but he just lived down the street. So the Detroit Lions were always real to me. I mean, I could see them. They were tangible people. I would go to Livonia Franklin High School and work out with Mr. Williams, who would meet Wayne Walker there. And Wayne Walker also lived in Livonia, and he was starting to, he got onto Channel 2, I think, as a sportscaster, moved to San Francisco. But I can remember being at Franklin High School as Mr. Williams and Wayne Walker would run around and do all that stuff, and we're in our Lions uniforms and stuff, and we're running around too. And then I can remember it would always end with Wayne Walker kicking field goals on Franklin's football field and us underneath the goalposts catching them. So, I mean, I had a real into sports. My father was a huge Michigan fan. I liked communication. Mrs. Summers, one of the neighbor ladies, whenever they would go on vacation, she would come back and she'd always say, "Arthur, what's going on in the neighborhood? You have your ear to the ground. What's going on? What happened when we were on vacation?" And she said, "You should start a newspaper," and all this kind of stuff. So I think I was always geared that way. Like most kids, I wanted to be an athlete. I just wasn't, as good as I hoped to be. I wanted to play sports for the University of Michigan and then play goal for the Montreal Canadiens or the Red Wings. That was my sport, or be a professional tennis player. And travel the world. Okay. Those were the two things that I really, really wanted to do. But my point being is that my parents grew up on radio. I think I'm the first or second generation around that grew up with television. Right. My whole life, I can remember. My parents did not obviously grow up that way. They had this record set, and I might even have it in this room someplace. It was 6 or 7 records, albums, vinyl, right. That was Jack Benny's Golden Days of Radio.
Nice.
And my parents would have parties, and they would play this, and all their friends would remember this stuff. And I really got into it, like Fibber McGee and Molly and The Shadow and all Texaco, Mystery Hour or whatever, all this kind of stuff. And then I would play it on my own. So I really think when it became time for me to actually be something, I think I always wanted to be on the radio, be a radio personality. And I really wanted to be a music jock, and I started off that way and really enjoyed it and was, fairly successful. But then with, the way the business has changed, music radio to me is an abomination now. Yeah. And so, I changed. I knew if I wanted to make money in it, the only way I could be a personality was to go into talk radio, and that's right. Why I made the move to sports.